It's been a really tough week. I found out that I am going to be losing my job at the end of this quarter. And I have a kind of a specialty background. And so I decided that I want to lean into that and share some of the lessons that I've learned with other people. I've worked for startups. And part of the reason I've worked for startups primarily is because there's a chance for opportunities and people are there for innovative ideas. But it's a challenging time right now. And there's a lot of people who feel like they haven't been heard. And the truth of the matter is that you were not making that up. You weren't gaslighting yourself. Um, you're not imagining it. You have not been being heard. But it's not about your ideas. Like your ideas are probably brilliant, right? Let's just say it. The problem is, hear me out, the world isn't ready for your brilliance. And that's because we're taught to fit into very specific molds, right? And the mold, it's broken. And so I want to make sure that I'm heard and I want to make sure that you're heard. And that starts with understanding why no one is listening to you. Okay, so here are the secrets that nobody wants to tell you. I'll tell you. You see, most people have been conditioned to reject anything that challenges the status quo. That's why we do DEIB training, because people are stuck in a system that was never designed to create leaders. It was built to produce followers, obedient workers, people who stay in their lane. But what happens when you refuse to stay in your lane? What happens when your ideas are too bold, too innovative, too different? You're scaring people and they're ignoring you. But like I said, it's not because you're wrong. No, you don't get ignored because you're wrong. You get ignored because you're not fitting the mold. You get ignored because not because you're wrong, but because you're ahead. And being ahead means that you're alone. Let's talk about leadership, right? When you're out there at the very beginning with new ideas, a lot of times you're going to be alone, at least for a little while. It's important to know that your ideas are valid, but in order to get them across, you have to be willing to stand alone. And yes, that means that some people aren't going to be heard. And it means that you have to keep sharing that message until you get it to the right people in order to make a difference. Because remember, here's the thing, the people that you're begging for their attention, you don't need their approval. What you need is clarity. You need purpose. You need the tools to make it impossible to ignore your voice. And that starts with understanding why people aren't listening and understanding how to make them pay attention. The system wasn't built for leaders. It starts with the education system. The education system was not built for people like you. It's a system designed to create workers, not innovators. I mean, look at me. I don't have a degree. It's the best thing that has ever happened to me. Why? Because it forced me to learn by doing, to solve real problems, the ones I was having. And it taught me to have to lead instead of follow because no one knew what I was talking about. So I had to let them know what you're doing. That's the real problem that we can solve with real solutions. The truth is, most people have been taught to fear what they don't understand. That's why your ideas, your bold ideas, they feel like a threat. But here's the good news. The future belongs to those who challenge the status quo. So how do you make people listen? It starts with communication. Here's how. Number one, build your verbal brand. You might be asking, what's a verbal brand? Well, The way you speak matters. Don't just say the food was good. Say the dish was flavorful and well seasoned. It's not about using fancy words. It's about choosing words that carry weight when you're trying to get your point across. Elevate your language because people will pay attention when you elevate your language and say things that are different than what they think they already know. When you're using language that the person already knows, they are using their own bias to decide what you are saying. So, in order to get people to pay attention, you need to have a verbal brand. Number two, own the silence. Silence is powerful. And I hate silence, and I often rush to fill the space. But when you pause before making a point, you build anticipation. See what I just did there? Let your audience hang on every word. And also, when you're not talking all the time, when you start to talk, people pay attention. Number three, prune the noise. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. It's time for you to understand what your purpose is. Look for the life that you're trying to build. The goal is going to be to design a life where you focus on solving a specific problem for a specific audience. Sometimes that might be you. Sometimes it's the kids. But the right people will listen when your message is clear and relevant to them. Clarity is your competitive edge. So I'm working on something and I hope that you will come with me. It's called the People Puzzle Collective. It's a newsletter starting because I'm working on building a planner for people to start being heard and design the life that they're looking for so we can have a better world of work. Now, this conversation I know has only scratched the surface, and I love digging deep. I know that not everyone wants to do that. And so, if you do want to dive deeper into why people aren't listening and how to fix it, I hope you'll join me at the People Puzzle Collective. It's my newsletter, it's where I break down strategies, dig in deeper, share tools, and help you turn your ideas into impact. This week's edition has the full article about why people aren't listening to you, plus access to my new course, The Connectors Playbook, how to make them listen. And I know you don't want to miss this. You obviously clicked on this because you want to be heard. So I hope you'll subscribe now. The link is in the description. Your ideas matter. Your voice matters. Let's make sure that the world knows it. I'll see you inside the People Puzzle Collective.